Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Michael Levan. Thank you for coming back to my YouTube channel, or if you're a new subscriber or a new viewer, awesome. Hello. Thank you so much for being here. I know everybody's super busy, so I'm going to definitely make sure that I provide you some value in this 10 to 15 minutes. So, the one thing that I did want to talk about, and I've kind of had it on my radar for a little while because people have been reaching out to me about it since I did my video on do you need, any type of college degree to practice DevOps essentially in the space. So the one topic people have been asking me about is certifications. Do you need certifications? And it's where things get a little bit interesting. So, certifications, why do I like them? For example, so here's the thing, like when you're working with a certain piece of technology for a long time, let's say like you're in an organization that is using maybe Azure DevOps, for example, for their CI/CD. Maybe they're using Artifactory to store artifacts. Maybe they're using Confluence for documentation. They're using Jira for ticketing. You're working with a whole bunch of like not only cutting edge technology, but you're working with stuff that everybody's using right now, which obviously makes you in demand. And let's say, you're doing a lot of Azure, for example, you're working with a lot of serverless, you're working with, maybe Azure container instances, maybe you're working with Azure Kubernetes services or AKS. And, you're in these technologies a lot daily. I mean, 8+ hours a day, you're working in these technologies. Now, here's the thing, regardless of how long you're working in that technology, like if you're just working in something all day and you're the master at it, regardless, there is always gaps. And the reason why is because there are a ton of different ways to do things with any piece of technology. And at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to focus on all of them. Like it's not possible. You can't, literally focus on how to do deployments in Visual Studio for development environments, how to do deployments in GitHub Actions, how to do deployments in Octopus Deploy, how to do deployments in Azure DevOps, in GitLab. Like there's so many different ways. How to do infrastructure as code in Terraform, how to do configuration management in Ansible. There's so many different pieces to the puzzle. I mean, especially now, like it's almost like we're hearing about a new piece of technology or a new application that's coming out like it feels like weekly. It's probably not weekly, but it feels like it. That is like ultimately supposed to help us. So here's the thing. Certification studying. I feel like I just got off on a random rant. I promise. There's a reason for this. My rant just now. So the thing is about certifications is it helps fill in those gaps. So for example, let's say you're working with app services every day. You are deploying to web applications, whether those web apps are serverless running on Linux or Windows, whether they're running in a containerized environment, you're in there all day. However, maybe you're not working with Deployment Center, aka that's the way that you can do like CI/CD from the app service itself versus using another tool outside. Maybe you're not working with specific configurations in an app service every day. Maybe you're not working with, how to pull or how to add connection strings from, say, Azure SQL to an app service. Like maybe you're not doing that, and maybe that's something that you don't know about. And that's where certifications come into play. They fill in those little gaps for you, which are good gaps, or not. Well, the gaps aren't good, but it's good to fill in those gaps. Like it's good gaps to fill in with that certification studying knowledge. Like I think that's very, very important. For me personally, anytime that I'm studying for a certification, whether I'm actually going to sit for the test or not, which we will definitely talk about, I that's like pretty much always what my studying is. Like if I'm labbing something up, like maybe I have an idea, like I'm looking at my board right now and I have some stuff for like Azure DevOps and Octopus. I have some stuff for Terraform and Octopus. So like those are like separate labs that I'm doing. But like in terms of my studying and the labs for the studying and stuff, typically like I'll always look at certification paths Because honestly, at the end of the day, like I want to fill in those gaps for my knowledge because I don't know everything. Like number one, it's impossible to know everything, and number two, I definitely don't know everything. So I definitely want to fill in those gaps as much as possible. So I'll always like look at certification studying again, even if I'm not planning on taking the test. Which brings me to my next point. Taking the test. Is taking the test important? Is it important to have those certifications on your resume? And this is a controversial topic. And I know that like there's a lot of people that talk about this, and it goes both ways in a lot of people's mindset. You know, a lot of people are like, yeah, certifications, it's needed. And then a lot of people are like, nah, not really. I honestly think at the end of the day with this one, it's going to depend on the individual, I think. So here's the thing. Certifications look awesome on a resume. I'm not going to lie. You know, entry level certifications like a CCNA look awesome. Like, you know, middle level certifications, like whether, you know, it's, I don't know, one of the Red Hat exams, RHCA. I think it's the Red Hat Systems Administrator. I think that's what it is. Those look awesome. Obviously, mid-level Microsoft certs like the AZ-104, for example, the AZ-204, all look great. Advanced certifications, like there's Kubernetes certifications right now that are pretty advanced, and I say that they're advanced because you're literally hands-on with them. Like there's no multiple choice. You're hands-on completely throughout the whole test. So things like the AZ-400, the RHSE, I think that's the advanced Red Hat one. I'm totally butchering this, I forget. But my point is, they look good on your resume. I honestly think they do. Now, here's the thing. They will help you pass an HR filter. They will help you get in the door. The knowledge that you gain from the certification will absolutely help if you're actually studying it for the knowledge. So there's a lot of people that they want the certification, they cram it in, like they're really good at just like gaining that knowledge and cramming it in, and then they kind of just forget about it. Or you know, they spend so much time cramming that they didn't enjoy the process. They didn't take in the process of learning. They were just like, I got to get this stuff in. And then you go take the test and you pass, and that's great. Problem is, once you get in the door and you're working and people are like, oh, you're a CCNP? Cool, you should be able to do some advanced networking level stuff. And if you can't, it's obviously a problem. It's a problem if you don't know the material. It's a problem if you're claiming to be, you know, I have all these certifications, I'm an advanced level IT professional, but at the end of the day, there's no hands-on experience. And that's my biggest problem with certifications is I don't know if you ever heard the term. People used to use this a while back, paper MCSE or paper MCSA, because there were so many, you know, like exam crams and all of that stuff where like you would just get a big book and memorize all the questions, and then you would go take the test and you would sit, and then, you know, people would be like, oh, MCSE, you know, we're gonna hire this guy. And it ended up being like the person didn't know what they were doing. And that's where like the whole paper MCSE, paper MCSA thing came from. And that's always kind of been my gripe with certifications is like, yeah, you could study for a certification, you could pass it, but the thing is that it's good to do. I'm totally not knocking certifications. Like I personally haven't like sat and took a test for a really long time. I don't know, 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years since I sat for a certification exam. So I don't do it often. So, but what I do know is that they help a lot. Like I have a VMware cert, I have a Microsoft server cert, I have a Cisco cert, and like I personally like putting them on my resume. I like having them there. I do think it helps. But at the end of the day, if you don't know the material, I mean, it's kind of like not worth it at the end of the day. Like if you're not going to truly understand the material and do it, like don't go for the test just to pass the HR filter. Don't go for the test just to have a billion certifications. Go for the test for the process, for enjoying the process, for gaining that knowledge. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to keep you at your job. Because guess what? You could pass all of these certifications and you could get in the door. Problem is that are you going to be able to stay in the door? Are you going to be able to stay in the office before your manager's like, why are we paying this person a CCNP level salary, for example, and they're not CCNP level from a knowledge perspective. So definitely just keep that in mind. But in terms of certifications, like, do you need them? No, you don't. Um, I I don't have any like advanced level certifications. I've studied for advanced level certifications because remember I wanted to fill in those gaps, but I never like really went and like sat for like an expert level exam. I never sat for a CCNP or the AZ 400 or anything like that. It's definitely something that I want to do at some point. It's just not like a primary focus for me right now. But in terms of like being able to move up, I personally haven't had an issue. The one thing that I will tell you though is depending on the field that you're in, you may need to take some certifications. So for example, this is it's well, I guess it's still it could still be DevOpsy, but like let's say you're working for like a government organization and you're working in like maybe cybersecurity or something like that. Chances are you may have to go sit for like the security plus or something like that. The other thing too is like maybe you might not even get an interview without the security plus. Some of those government organizations require it. So depending on the field that you're going into and like depending on what you're trying to do, uh, some certifications may be required. So definitely keep that in mind as well. Well, this was a fun talk. I feel like I rambled a bit, so I apologize if I did, but hopefully it was just, you guys gained something from it. Let me know if you like these types of videos. People reached out a lot and really enjoyed the college one that I did for do you need DevOps for college or do you need college for DevOps? And yeah, so if you guys like this type of content, definitely let me know and I'll continue making it. So thank you so much. Take care. I'll see you again next time.